From 1934 to 1968, American cinema changed. The Motion Picture Production Association of America, or the MPPA, published a set of moral guidelines, dubbed the name the Hays Code. This arguably stifled Hollywood for over 3 decades. So why did the Hays Code fail? Films made before the code were called pre-code films, or the unmentionables. By focusing on pre-code films, we can begin to piece together why the code became compulsory. 4 years before the code was put into action, Joseph von Sternberg came out with Morocco. The film delved into taboo subjects and created provocative explorations of sexuality and power. Morocco also featured cinema's first lesbian kiss. Eventually, there was a call for the government to rein Hollywood in. However, to stop the government from banning films, Hollywood decided to do the deed themselves with the Hays Code. It began with crime and immorality could not be presented in a positive light. If it was shown, it had to also show the repercussions the character would face. Most famously, Hitchcock's Rebecca suffered from this. Originally, Rebecca was murdered by her on-screen husband, Maxim. However, in Hitchcock's screen adaptation, he was forced to change Rebecca's death to accidental, with Maxim covering it up. This altercation changed the whole storyline, as Maxim was no longer guilty, and overall critics blasted the film for not having the immensely haunting effect the book had. Nudity and overt sexual references were banned from films, even if it was between 2 consenting adults. In Gone with the Wind, director Victor Fleming had to portray Scarlett and Prissy as literal shadows as Melanie gave birth. Religion was also not allowed to be mocked. Characters that previously had a religious background were given a makeover. For example, in MGM's 1940s adaptation of Pride and Prejudice, Mr. Collins is changed to a librarian. This code seems to have stuck around. Even 28 years after the code was replaced, Disney decided to change the character of Frollo from Hunchback of Notre Dame from an archbishop to a judge. The next code banned revenge as being a main part of the film's theme. This made exceptions for historical settings where no law would exist. Therefore, filmmakers found a loophole and began making westerns. Other codes included no blasphemy, no excessive drinking or drug abuse, no depictions of crime that could be easily imitated, like lockpicking or pickpocketing, and finally the US flag had to be treated with the utmost respect. Skipping to 1966, MGM released Blow Up, which according to TV Tropes Online was a direct defiance to the code due to its explicit erotic content. The film was a smash hit, and the MPPA could do nothing to stop MGM from distributing it. This sparked a movement where other studios began following MGM's lead, and in 1968, 2 years after the release of Blow Up, the Hays Code died along with the golden age of Hollywood. This marked a new beginning for Hollywood going into the 70s. Along with this new dawn, the MPPA replaced the code with a more flexible age rating system that can still be seen today in world cinema. The Hays Code did heavily narrow Hollywood to a point that almost decreased the creativity and personality that pre-code films had. However, host Michael Medved spoke in support of the code with, "While many of the rules in the old production code look thoroughly ludicrous by today's standards, it is instructive to recall that Alfred Hitchcock, Howard Hanks, John Ford, Billy Wilder, Frank Capra, and Orson Welles all managed to create their masterpieces." That bears the question whether the modern filmmaking industry would benefit from having a non-flexible method of censorship to encourage more imagination and dismantle the predictable, overused structure some genres and films have fallen into.